Now, depending on what kind of business you are and what you offer, a sales script is probably the next thing you should be looking at. So how your team, including yourself, how you walk the customer through the process of working with you is incredibly important and affects the amount of customers that A, convert and pay, but B, are happy and go through the process satisfied with the service they get, and which then leads to repeat buying, brand loyalty, and of course referral. And because of that, creating a sales script, I believe is very important, because you're deciding what the whole process is going to say to your customer. And when you're growing a business and you're employing salespeople, and you've got even non-salespeople, you've got functional staff, you've got production staff, you've got maybe tradespeople. All of these people are speaking on behalf of your brand. Maybe you're a facilities management company and you've got a whole bunch of cleaners, or you're a security company and you've got security guards. There's all these different kinds of people that are going to speak on behalf of your brand. You've got stakeholders, shareholders, directors, board meetings. You've got all these different kinds of people. Even your customers need to learn how to sell your product. And what the customer does it through seeing your brand and learning things about your brand, and then they regurgitate it to their friends around the barbecue or whatever. So they're learning from your marketing, they're learning from your branding, but unfortunately, there's your sales process is a little bit different, because you've got to take people on a very specific path and lead them through that path. For example, there might be a very structured process that you want your clients to take, or maybe by taking them down a structured process, you increase the amount of people that become your customer. You maybe increase the amount they spend. You might be able to upsell them onto certain things, or what would you sell them next in that kind of sales pathway or sales process. So creating a sales script is a great way to solidify the process and the things that you want to tell your customers. Now, one of the cool things about the way we build a sales script is we create these hot topics, or I call them hot buttons. So we create these hot buttons, and it makes it really easy to remember a script. So teaching someone to learn an entire novel, for example, is incredibly difficult, because there's a lot of words. To repeat a whole novel would be almost impossible. I don't think I could do it. But if you teach someone something in very small chunks, they can remember anything. So, for example, your ABCs, right? You can say the alphabet, and that's a lot of letters you have to remember. But you learnt it. It was a little song, A, B, C, D. There's a harmony to it. So these are the ways you remember things. So by turning all of your information down into very small, bite-sized concepts, people are able to remember those concepts to be able to repeat them again later. So for example, if I tell you a story about something that happened to me when I was 5 years old, your brain right now has opened a filing system in your brain, and it's called the filing system when Simon was 5. That's what's happened right now. So when I was 5 years old, I was wearing a green jumper. You're remembering the green jumper, and you're remembering 5 years old. All of the other words are irrelevant. You can tell other people this story so far. And I fell over a tree. Okay, so straight away, I fell over a tree. I was wearing a green jumper and I was 5 years old, right? So what happens is that you and the consumer's mind are able to remember these key points, or these hot points, very, very, very easily. So what we do is we create headings for your sales process. So I want you to imagine that you're standing on stage and you're about to give a presentation. Now, this is a 2-hour presentation, and for young CEOs or for CEOs that haven't done a lot of public speaking, this can be incredibly daunting. Most people think that they don't know how to stand on stage and speak for 2 hours about something. However, I think you'll find that because most people are experts within their business, they know their business, and they could probably talk about their business for a long time, by simply putting some headings in a big list on a board, and then being asked to talk about each heading, you can probably find that most people can talk about each of the headings about their business for quite some time. And it's similar. It's a similar way to how we script out your business. We script out a sales process for your business by starting with a bunch of bullet points of things that we need your customers to know. We put them in the order that we want to tell them those things in, and then we build out the content underneath each of those headings, so that as people are coming on board, they're learning the headings is what they're really learning. The information about each heading, your brain files under the heading. So you actually, it becomes very simple to learn a very long amount of information by simply having these key headings. Now, the thing about these headings is it helps if they're memorable. And to build a script, it helps if you do it conceptually. And what I mean by that is analogy driven. I'll give you an example. If I say to any of my team, fishing boat, they've filed away a concept in their brains, whether they know it or not, and it sounds something like this. At ProDesk, we are like everything outside of a fisherman, right? The fisherman does the fishing. He's an expert at fishing. But at ProDesk, we package the fish. We help him recruit other fishermen. We market his fish. We create a website to sell his fish. So that sort of analogy of like we do everything for the fisherman is one example of like a concept that can instantly come to mind when I say fisherman or fishing boat to my team. They'll know what I'm talking about because they've heard the concept before. Now, they might not remember exactly how to say it, but the analogy is that we work with you on everything outside of your core business, and you focus on your core business. So the tagline could have been, core business, outside the core business. That could be the heading. It's harder to remember than a fisherman, right? Fisherman is something that you can remember. So all of these different ways to remember things is a way that we build out your script with these different headings that focus on a different part of your business, and then a different sort of sales pitch under each one, so that it makes it easy for your salespeople to learn all of the sales features, all of the sort of FAQs, all of the arguments, the rebuttals, the objections. When someone says, "Oh, I don't know if I can afford to buy your product," their keyword is afford. And there's a story in answer to afford. So building out a sales script is about writing down all of the key things that matter to the customer, and then finding the keywords that are going to trigger a response for your sales team, and then writing what that response should be so that the sales team can learn the response based on the trigger. And if you do that, you're creating a story that can be replayed over and over and over again. And it's just one more way that you're able to scale your business without you doing everything. Because you can't train every salesperson that you employ from now on. You need to just train the next guy, teach him this sales script that we write for you, or let him read it himself. But you're probably going to have to teach him. And then once you've taught him and he's become a master at it, he can train the next person, and that person can train the next person. And that's what it's all about. It's about creating the information at the top. It's about developing the IP at the top. We work with you ongoing to continuously develop the IP at the top so that it runs downhill to the rest of the team, and it can do that forever, and it can be a living sort of life form of its own. So everybody needs a sales script. It's incredibly important. It gives you something you can rely on. You know that your sales team are saying the same thing that you've been saying for many years, and you know that's going to keep happening. And when you want to update something, when you change something, it's easy to send out a memo or an SMS to say, "Hey guys, this has now changed." And it's easy for them to update that in their brain, update that one thing, because they've got those key headings. And it makes it easy for you to do a sales presentation. It makes it easy for you to stand on stage for 2 hours, because everybody knows these headings. And if you're sick and you can't attend to a seminar that you're supposed to be speaking at, one of your other staff can do it, because they also know the headings. They can also do the same speech that you can. And it's pretty cool when you know that anyone in your organization can stand up or be questioned about your business, and they'll say exactly the same thing in the same way that you will, because the business is so systemized that it can do that. That's when you know you've got something very, very valuable. And that's what we want to do here. We want to help you create value in systemization, and your sales script is very important, and it should be the first way that you start systemizing your business.